The sun had not yet risen over the sprawling metropolis of Neo-Veridia, but the war for its soul had already begun. High above the smog, in two separate wings of the zenith spire, two men prepared to prove that the world was not what it seemed. This was not a clash of steel or armies. It was a collision of realities. One man lived in the light of the quantum void, believing that gold was merely a vibration of the soul. The other lived in the shadows of the iron will. The second man believed that gold was a weapon forged in the furnace of human weakness. Within the next 24 hours, the financial foundations of the world would crumble, and only one philosophy would remain standing. This is the story of the final evolution. In the East Wing, Elias Thorne sat in a room of pure white. No screens, no telephones. He didn't need them. To Elias, the average man stayed broke because he believed in the illusion of distance. He thought money was out there, hidden in vaults. Elias knew the truth. Money does not travel to you. It is a frequency you inhabit. He closed his eyes and initiated the activation. He felt a golden beam of light entering his crown chakra, a liquid warmth that dissolved the heavy chains of linear time. To Elias, there was no waiting for a paycheck. There was only the absolute certainty that the version of himself who possessed millions was the only version that existed. He tuned his internal dial until his entire energy field hummed with power and light. He wasn't hoping for a miracle. He was commanding the mirror of reality to reflect his state. 30 floors below, in the West Wing, Julian Vane watched the city through a different lens. His room was a dark chamber of obsidian and cold blue light. Julian smiled at the thought of people like Elias. To Julian, the universe was not a friendly mirror. It was a ruthless chessboard. Money did not obey joy, it obeyed power. And power was never given. It was always taken from the hands of the weak. Julian lived by the cold, tactical principles of Machiavelli. He saw the city as a collection of predictable animals driven by fear and greed. He didn't manifest, he engineered. He knew that wealth was built by bending systems and people to his absolute will. His first law was the weaponization of silence. While his competitors scrambled and shouted their desperation into the microphones of news outlets, Julian remained a ghost. He knew that the one who stays quiet in a room of noise eventually owns the whole room. The clock struck 9 a.m., and the global markets began to bleed. A systemic glitch, a quantum reset, had frozen the digital flow of currency. Panic gripped the streets. This was the moment both men had prepared for in their own separate ways. Elias did not move. He felt the panic of the world as a low-frequency noise, but he refused to let it penetrate his field. He breathed into his solar plexus, expanding his abundance vortex. He repeated the sacred coding that I am a rapid manifester. He visualized doors of opportunity flying open, quantum portals appearing where others saw brick walls. He felt tingles in his palms, his money reception centers activating. To him, the collapse was not a disaster. It was a clearing of the path to wealth. Downstairs, Julian was a predator in the tall grass. He didn't care about the frequency of the universe. He cared about the frequency of human fear. He began the law of leverage. He knew thousands of investors were trading their lives for hours of safety. Julian used the law of narrative, crafting a story of a safe haven currency. He didn't need the story to be true. He only needed it to be believed. He watched as the masses, driven by irrational impulse, began to pour resources into his system. Elias received an unexpected signal. A massive sum of capital was being transferred to his name through a forgotten legal portal. It was a manifestation that defied logic. He had simply aligned with the version of himself that already owned the fortune. But Julian was moving. Using the law of exploitation, he saw the inefficiency in the legal system Elias relied on. Julian initiated a withholding strategy, blocking the final signature. He would let the silence of the frozen funds press against Elias until he broke. The two men finally met on the rooftop at sunset. Elias spoke of resonance and the source. Julian spoke of structure and the iron laws of nature. In that moment, a profound shift occurred. The air vibrated as the two ideologies began to merge into one. A new figure emerged from the shadows. The final evolution. This figure possessed the heart of Elias and the mind of Julian. It used the law of resonance to attract and the law of dominion to keep. It was unreadable, untouchable, and completely unstoppable. The sun began to rise. The world of labor was gone. The new world belonged to those who could walk the razor's edge. Money flows to those who become the game itself. Choose the predator's mind. Choose the architect's heart. The manifestation is done.